If you have a hard time with boundaries, how might your life be different if you could say no as easily as a joyful yes? I'm Love Coach Mariya, and for over a decade now, I've been encouraging folks to empower their compassion so it's big enough for ourselves as well as others, and so our boundaries can become healthier than ever. You're listening to Empower Your Compassion, and on this show, we'll be unlocking transformative insights to help you reconnect to your true yes, so you can say no from that more expansive energy and get more of what you want in your relationships and your life without sacrificing your compassion. Are you ready for more love? Let's grow. Hello friends, welcome back. I hope your Valentine's Day was filled with love. Today we are continuing on with this series on the Gates method. In my previous solo episode, I went into the first step, which is ground in your body and your values. And now we are on the second step, which is assess your capacity and your true yes. So let's break that down. First of all, I want to back up just a little bit and mention that these first two steps, the grounding and assessing, are really helpful for addressing something that a lot of people with flimsy fence boundaries have a problem with, which is being a reflexive yes. So if you've ever heard the advice, don't say yes when you mean no, and thought, I don't really have that experience. It makes sense that we shouldn't say yes when we mean no, but I don't feel like I'm saying yes insincerely. So there's a difference between being disconnected from your truth and overriding your truth. So it can feel like your truth in the moment when you're wired for fawning. And so when someone asks you for something, you're a reflexive yes to the requester before you've even processed the request. And so oftentimes it won't come until later that you realize that you don't actually have the capacity or maybe even the interest in doing the thing, but now you feel committed and obligated, so you do it anyway. And then you either get burnt out or resentful or both, and you realize you have a boundaries problem, but you don't know where the breakdown happened. In my experience, it happens in this reflexive yes process. And so the power of the pause is really, really crucial here. And just noticing that you have this pattern and noticing that you need to pause before you answer so that you can check in with yourself. Do a little bit of embodiment. Look back to the previous solo episode, which was 2 episodes ago, to get some tips on grounding so that you can kind of regulate your nervous system a little bit. And then you can get into this assess step. So the grounding in your body and your values is going to help you with your compass heading, but that won't always be quite enough information because probably connection and being helpful are aligned with your values, but you still need a little bit more data to make a decision that is not just aligned with your values and goals, but also your limits and your capacity and what I call your true yes instead of that reflexive yes. So we bring the body into the conversation in the grounding step, and then the assessment is where we do a quick inventory. What is my capacity in this moment? Do I have the time, energy, money, attention, interest for this offer or request that's being proposed? And if you notice yourself getting a little bit squirmy, maybe there's a way I could contort myself or totally rearrange things so that I can make this work, that squirminess is an indicator that the answer should probably be a no here because it's probably out of your capacity. And then you might start to feel a little bit of guilt, but there's got to be a way I can make it work. They really seem like they need my help. I would love to help. In fact, I do have an interest. I would love to be able to do this thing, but gosh, I have 10 million other things and I don't know if I can, and probably best to be a no there. Now, my goal is to help my clients learn how to say no as easily as a joyful yes. And one of the best ways to do that is to connect to your true yes. So when you're squirming, trying to make a yes happen, pause and consider what would feel good right now. I'll give you 2 different kind of scenarios, some of my go-to examples. One is it's Sunday night and your friends invite you out and you're not instantly oh my gosh, yes, that sounds amazing. You're I don't know if I want to. I'm already in my PJs. I really feel like I should stay in, but now I'm starting to feel guilty. They're twisting my arm, whatever. And if you pause there and consider what would feel really good, it's staying in, for example. Another scenario is maybe a workplace scenario where you've got a lot on your plate and someone asks you to help out with their project, and you maybe kind of could possibly make it work, but then you might have to work late, or you might have to cancel plans with someone else, or like it would be really tight. And that tightness that you experience in your body and in your schedule, like that means it's not really fitting in your capacity. Like, can you squeeze it in? Maybe. Is that good for you and everyone involved? Not necessarily. It's not really aligned, again, with your values, goals, and limits and capacity, all of that. Like, you want to stay in alignment so that you can show up in the best, most aligned way for the people and projects you care most about. And so going into something that's out of alignment is putting the whole thing into misalignment. And saying no, if it's not aligned for you, actually frees that thing up to find an even more aligned option. And maybe the true yes, what feels good in that workplace scenario is just being able to stay focused on your towering pile of tasks. So the thing is, when we're not connected to our true yes, but we're aware that there might be a no in there, our no might come out as either apologetic, oh gosh, I'm so sorry, I can't, or and then you're way more likely to have your arm get twisted. Or our no will come out kind of abrasively, like, oh no, gosh, I can't, stop asking. Or why are you even asking? It's a Sunday night, or I'm slammed, can't you see? And we can be a little spiky. But when we're connected to our yes, when it's like, oh man, I am a yes to staying in on this Sunday night, or gosh, I am a yes to just staying focused on my stuff, you can stay in that energy. A true yes is a very expansive energy, and you can say no from that energy, from that same yes energy, because that no is a yes to the thing that you're yes to. So again, with the friends invite on a Sunday night, hey, do you want to come out? No, I'm good. Thank you. Have a blast. Or, hey, can you help me with this project? Gosh, I really can't, but you're doing great. You see the difference there? So having this grounding step and this assessment step is really, really helpful for being able to say no as easily as a joyful yes. Quick side note, when we get to the E of the Gates method, which is expressing our no without disconnecting, I have another fun tool that can help make saying no feel as easy as a joyful yes. And one of the things that can trip us up at so many different steps of honoring our boundaries is feeling guilty. We feel guilty about saying no. We feel guilty about turning down someone's request for help. Or we feel bummed because maybe we actually want to do all of these things, but we just can't. And something that has just been a helpful little mnemonic for me is the oxygen mask rule. When you're on the airplane and they say you got to place the oxygen mask on yourself before assisting others. The thing is, if we're not good to ourselves first, we're no good to anyone else. And if we allow ourselves to become depleted, we can even become a liability to others. So this is why I say boundaries are a service, because they're what allow us to show up resourced for the people and projects we care most about. Sometimes saying no is one of the most loving things we can do. It can be kind of challenging also at times to admit that we have limits. Sometimes we feel like we're supposed to be these abundant, infinite, divine beings, and why should we have to say no to anything or anyone? But the truth is, we do have finite resources. Time is the most fixed resource, but even our energy and our attention and our capacity and how many fucks we have to give, like there's only so many at any given time or for different things. And they can fluctuate from day to day, hour to hour, even throughout the day. Who knows? This capacity, it is kind of a fluid thing. But for me, at least, that was one of the challenges I kind of had to overcome to start really healing into boundaries. It's like acknowledging that I have limitations and that doesn't mean I'm limiting myself and my potential and my life. And in fact, honoring these limits has really freed me, because That's one of the wonderful paradoxes of boundaries, is that they provide the structure that allows our creative energy to flow in alignment with our values and goals in our authentic truth. And one of the things that really helped me make that shift from feeling like I was limiting myself to feeling this freedom was recognizing that the finite amounts of other resources like diamonds and gold is precisely what makes them really valuable. And so that helped me step into this position of honor, recognizing that I have these precious things that are mine to care for, and I have to make sure that I manage my resources again so that I'm able to show up as my most effective, most connected, highest, most aligned self, and so that I can bring that to the people and projects I care most about. So once we've grounded in our body and our values, we know what's important to us, we know how to receive the wisdom of our body in guiding us on our path of alignment. And then we do this quick assessment. Gosh, is this within my capacity? What is my true yes? And maybe you'll find that you actually are on board with this thing, and that maybe your impulse was to say no, but when you check in with your true yes, you realize that maybe you don't necessarily want to do the thing, but that it really does serve something that's aligned for you. But either way, just taking that beat to ground in your body and do a quick assessment, you feel so much more confident about whatever decision it is that you make. And I just want to throw one more plug here to the pause, because sometimes we do that reflexive yes because we feel like we have to respond in the moment. We have to give someone a response immediately, and it's rarely the case. And if you do have to say something, you can say, let me think about that and get back to you. And that way you can take a little bit more time to do that grounding and assessing and find the clarity that helps you feel really good about your decision and empowers you to move forward knowing that you're on your path of alignment. And then there's one more sort of internal check that we do before we even speak, before we even say no, or sure, or I'd love to, or gosh, I'm not available for that, but maybe we can do it this way. And the additional step before we even say anything is the next step in the Gates method, which is trust in the other's ability to manage. So we've grounded, we've assessed, and the part where we have to say no can still feel really uncomfortable until we do this other step that reconnects us to our sovereignty, that helps us recognize the sovereignty in others and be a stand for that mutual sovereignty. Next week, I have my friend and colleague Chris joining me for a discussion on how boundaries are not the same thing as rules or standards or demands or all kinds of other forms of communication, many of which we think are us communicating our boundaries, but are really just us kind of trying to control other people and really just leave everyone involved feeling frustrated and unmet. So I hope you'll join for that conversation. And then the following solo episode, we'll get into trusting the other's ability to manage before we state our boundary. If you would like a comprehensive guide to the Gates method, as well as some really rich tools to help you implement it and improve your boundaries and enhance your relationships, head on over to boundariesthatfeelgood.com to download your free PDF. And while you're here, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share this show so we can spread the love. Wherever you're at on your journey, I send you so much love and courage. Namaste.